Peter.
You get all excited because Anita's here.
No, I admitted you before. I don't know what happened where you disappeared to.
I was watching Netflix. I'm watching a rom-com.
Okay.
Oh,
It's all right. So I know you've had a all right day. So I'm not even gonna ask you how it was. I was trade myself blood
what?
gun. Make her be time aware with all them stuff.
Make me time away. You're the one that's coming on at 1 minute to 7.
I had to make a
Because
couple.
Narissa was here and they're just gone because I told her, it's important. It's my Zoom call. And she said, oh, I don't come before the Zoom call. I went, no.
We missed you last week. We missed you. Well, I missed you. I had to say, Sugar, she okay? But then I didn't realize that you had already told us that you had prior engagements. I was worried and I missed you.
Yeah, she did ask for you often. Like, where's Anita? Anita's not here. Do you know where Anita is? Lillian.
I told Sugar I was going to a funeral.
I know. Wow, I missed the memo. Hi, Lillian. Our guest has arrived here. How you doing, Lillian? Yeah. I did let her in here.
Yeah, I was muted. Hello.
That's all right. Because I'm just doing all.
I thought you had. Yeah, I can't see her.
You can't see anybody. You never can see anyone. You know. Oh
yeah.
I'm loving the cat.
I can see Anita and yourself on the small camera. Anybody that's on the big
and your internet sounds a bit cagey today as
camera, well. I can't see.
How are you, Lillian?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very sad.
That's good.
No, it's interesting. Although we're going to get to find out more about you once you started, but just for those that are here at the minute, right? So I did. Lillian had a pause and breathe session yesterday, and I joined the session. So it's just taking that time out to just zone out, which I don't do often enough. Yeah, I remember one time there was a radio station I used to listen to, and the man used to have a segment on a Friday morning where he does, you stop to breathe. I'm like, I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time. I got things to do. I'm thinking, how ridiculous does that sound? You don't have time to breathe. Like, so I tried to do it. Meditation, I'm struggling with because as soon as my mind stops, I say my mind stops. I attempt to stop my mind. All kind of thoughts. I start thinking about, okay, I've got this to do, and what time is it? And I was trying to bring it back to breathing until I fell asleep. So that was an interesting session with you yesterday. You'll hear all about it, Anita. Don't worry. Yasmin Euphemia, aka Sugar, is our co-host. Just to introduce you.
Okay, cool.
So our formatting is we just do a little introduction first. I take my introduction of you from your event post that I create, and just to put some context to you, and then you come on and just talk to it. It's very relaxed. There's no your video will be available afterwards because we have a YouTube channel, so we put all our videos there and we give you the link as well. So just so you know, what we do here is what you get here, because there's no pretty up, no edit up, none of them nothing. It's just a casual conversation, getting to know the person behind whatever it is, the journey that they're deciding to share with that.
Okay, cool.
Also to introduce you, have Anita, who is our what I still haven't found a name for her yet, but she's our consistent, dedicated supporter. So
Oh,
each week I'm finding more adjectives to add to her. So eventually it's gonna turn into a name.
uh-huh.
So yeah. So that's our Anita, and then sometimes some more people come in.
Mhm.
But with Lotus lately, do you know what? That's so nice. They've been avoiding us, but that's why I said Anita is our
Oh,
the replay is always available, so they can get to really hear people's journeys. We've had some amazing journeys so far, and I know you're gonna really add to that collective. The co-host Donna Runner. Just I guess she's coming back in a sec, and then we'll just get started. Did you have any questions so far, Lillian?
no, none, no. Ready to rock and roll.
Ready to rock and roll. Okay, Miss Shugs. Miss Shugs. Let's do the intro and get the party started. Whoever drop in, and then ready. What she do? You're on mute. What are you trying to say to me? She's trying to tell me something. Maybe she's trying to tell me something.
Does she know she's on mute?
No, I'm on two different cameras. One of them, they're just, it looks like I may not be with you for the full night, but I will still introduce myself. Yasmin Euphemia, aka Sugar, and I'm here tonight with Beverly. Beverly, sorry, just step in because I've got both the phone and the computer running, and neither of them are showing me you
Okay.
or live.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. All right. So we'll start that again because that was the deadest intro that put me to sleep already. All right, let's start again. Welcome to our From Inspiration to Innovation journey. Tonight we have with us Lillian Lartey, and I am your co-host, Beverly, aka UK Fluffy Chick, and I am also joined, kind of, with Yasmin Euphemia, aka Sugar. The purpose of these chats that we have live each week on Zoom, then uploaded later on YouTube, is to showcase people and these amazing journeys and stories that they have to share with our community. So let me give you a little context about Lillian Lartey, right? So Lillian Lartey, let me start, where should I start from? Because this took me so long. What you're going to expect from her is the real journey of from burnout to breakthrough. Oh God, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that, the way our work have us. This live conversation, we're going to deep dive into her 25 years of expertise. It's interactive, so feel free to jump in, and if you have any questions or statement that you want to make. So whether you're an entrepreneur or a creative or anyone trying to balance life without burning out, this amiga is for you. The key talking points is the spark, her early days and introduction to the wellness industry, the turning point, the navigating the health challenges that changed everything, the innovation, where she is with it now and how she helps women over 50, I'm just about that age, over 50 claim their power and what she hopes to do with her movement going into the future. So on that note, Miss Lillian, hello.
Hello, Beverly. Hello, everybody. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for coming. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about Lillian, just a snippet of Lillian. Who is
A
Lillian?
snippet about me. Wow. Um, so I'm a lover of health, fitness, anything to do with health, fitness, well-being. That's my bag. It has been since I was a little girl. Um, I love movement. I love anything to do with the human body. I'm just fascinated with the human body, how it works, how it's formed, what happens when it doesn't work properly, how to fix it. I just love it. A friend of mine once said to me, he said, "You should have been a doctor." And I was like, yeah, probably, but I'm having fun doing what I'm doing.
And you do have that doctoress look to you. But go ahead.
So yeah, I've always been about, like I said, the human body since I was young. Loved biology at school. Um, didn't like maths and English, all those sort of serious subjects, you know. And I love PE, you know, so the physical aspect, the biology, learning about the body, the human aspect. And then I went on to study business studies at college, and then at university I got a degree in business administration. And then you know, when you finish, you're like, well, what do I do? You know, nobody directs you as such to, you know, it's all back then it was, well, you get a job in a bank, or you go and work in a shop, or you work in an office. You know, there was no such thing as become a personal trainer or work in a gym, or, you know, these type of careers and vocations that are now available for us. So I went down that route of going to get a job, a boring job. Um, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. It was like, oh my goodness, you know, seeing the,
Especially if there's no movement involved. Those jobs involve just being sedentary. So
exactly,
definitely not gonna like it.
sitting
Go
down at
on.
a desk, seeing the same faces every day, hearing the same moans and groans, and people eating whatever it was that they wanted to eat, and I'd be like, no, there's got to be more to life than this, you know. And I remember one time I was at my gym, because I used to go to the gym early in the morning. So 6 a.m., I'm there. And I used to do, it wasn't quite an aerobics class, more like a body conditioning class. And I remember one time I was at the back of the class, and something just came to me and said, you can do that. Like, I could teach the class. And I was like, oh my goodness, I never thought of that. It just came to me. And so I remember inquiring about it, and people pointing me in different directions. And I eventually went to the YMCA to get qualified in exercise to music, first of all. And then I said, oh, this is great. What else can I do? So I just started clocking up all the qualifications, basically. And then finally finished with my personal trainer module. And then still it was like, I've got to do more. What more can I do? So I went on to qualify as a sports and remedial massage therapist.
Okay.
And that really stretched me. It was, oh, I'm telling you, Beverly, you know, for someone who loves the human body, this was yummy. You know, I found out more about the human body. It was like, yes, I want more, I want more. It was so great, it was so fascinating. And then I continued to work in gyms part-time whilst I was doing my office jobs. And then eventually in 2003, I just jumped ship and I said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I have to pursue my passion full time. And that's what I did. So, you know, the rest of the day is history. And I successfully opened and created 3 massage clinics, which were within gyms, and as well as teaching classes, as well as having my own personal training clients as well. But yeah, that was it was good. It was fun at the time. But I'll go on to share what happened after that in a moment.
It sounds like you just found lots of different avenues from going from you don't see what you could do with your love and passion of the human body to finding all kind of facets that you could actually get your hands into, if you like. So,
Yeah.
but coming in your early stages of like doing your training, actually, before I get to that, what was it that made you just think, you know what, let me go into further training? What was that pivotal thought in your head that thought, no, other than you saying there's got to be more to life than this, but what is it that really made you? Because you can have the thought, but do the action. What was it that made you just say, you know what, no, I've got to do some training now. This is ridiculous.
It wasn't so much of a thought, it was more intense feeling. You know, it was like a deep knowing that I just have to do this. I just have to. I mean, I didn't even have it in my mind, Beverly, that I would carve out a career out of this at all. You know, my first thought was like what I said when I was in the class, it was like, I could do that. My first thought was, okay, I'm just going to teach classes. That was it. And that was where I started. So my first qualification was exercise to music, and which is teaching classes. And so I did that for a while, to get some experience under my belt, and, really sort of, do I really want to do this, etc. And then when I found out, oh my goodness, this is fun, I'm helping people are appreciating the results that they're getting in the classes. And, and first of all, I didn't even start in gyms, because when I approached gyms, they would say, no, you haven't got the experience. Come back to us in a year or two. And I was like, but how am I supposed to come back in a year or two if I haven't got the experience, So I don't even know how it came about. I don't know whether it was I was speaking with somebody, and then someone suggested that I rent a hall, or get a few people around and just do a little class with them, which is how I started. Because as part of your exam, you need to practice with humans so that you can teach them how to move and give instructions and, teach them safely. And then once I did that, people were asking, when's your class? Where do you do your classes, etc.? And I was like, well, I've just started, I've just qualified. And so I kind of followed the thread, as they would say, and then in my local area, I just started, sort of looking for halls, where can I find a hall? Where can I teach a class? And I tell you, Beverly, that's some stories in itself, where I ended up in some halls, and talk about health and safety.
When you just started, I'm sure like resources is a bit limited. So when you're just starting out, you got to take some.
You take what's given to you, Beverly. You take what you find.
Yeah.
You had to make the most of what was there, and looking back now, I can laugh. I mean, even at the time, it was. I can see now that was all training for me, getting in there early. You get there and someone else is in the hall, and you've booked it and you've paid for it, and then the owner is like, oh, sort it out amongst yourselves. And hold on a minute, I've got people coming for a class.
Yeah. And you have to be trying to chat them up before your people come.
Oh my goodness. And so I started teaching in halls. And then eventually I think it was after 6 months, I was just getting tired. I was getting tired of lugging the mats, because I had this big, huge bag of mats that I would take with me. And I'd be like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I have to get back into those gyms. So I approached the same gyms that told me to come back in a year or two. And I said, listen, do you have any cover? Any cover availability where I can just cover the classes? I'm not looking for anything permanent, just to cover, get my feet, under the table type of thing. And they were like, yeah, okay, coming for an audition. For some, it wasn't even an audition. They were like, okay, you can teach this class on this day, that day, and we'll just take feedback from the class. And that's how I started to get jobs in the gym. So, and then once I started to get more experience in that, it was like, right, people started asking me, do you do personal training? What other classes do you cover? And, the classes that people asked me to cover, I was like, okay, let me get experienced in this. Let me get experienced in that. Let me get experienced in this. And yeah, and it was just following the thread,
What kind of classes do you, because I know there's like a lot of the plethora of classes, but what is your type of classes that you do?
Now, my type of class is movement, low stress movement based, and it's more remedial. So, as you mentioned, my focus is on helping women over 50. And first of all, I started off with aerobics, high impact classes, like Jane Fonda, you sweat, you feel the burn type of class. And my classes were popular. I did spin, I did aqua aerobics, I did aerobics, I did body conditioning. I worked them hard, Beverly. And people got results, and they were like, yeah, I want to go to Lillian's class. I don't want that soft. And whenever it was like, right, I'm going on holiday, I'm going to have someone cover. They were like, no, you can't go. No, we're not coming. Like, no, you have to come to the class. But I think through my remedial work, the massage, I again, it was like peeling an onion back, as I was getting to the core of what my purpose was. And what really fascinated me, as I mentioned earlier, was about what happened when the body became injured or became sick? You know, why were people getting injured? Why were people getting sick? And I was more sort of focused on that. And so I was helping a number of people, marathon runners, um, your average person who would, you know, just coming to the gym and then all of a sudden they'd sprain themselves. And I'd be fascinated. Why did that happen? And so I realized that these are the people who really need my help. As well as those, I was helping like sort of high executive CEO people who would come in highly stressed. And I'd be like, well, why are you stressed? You know? And they were all exercising incorrectly. So these were the things that I like to get to the root of what's happening. And so the more that I did that, the more it was like, I don't know, it was like I was being shown more revelation about the human body and about how to fix it easily and quickly. And the more that I did that, the more I was, I don't know, enlarging my capacity to be able to help people. So that has grown with me. I did have a bit of a break when I had the burnouts, which we'll come to in a moment. But I returned back to what I call my first love, which is remedial care. So now I work with women. I do in-person classes, but I also work with women online as well. For those who have reached that point where, especially around 50 onwards, where, you know, the menopause has set in, aches and pains, they're not knowing what's happening with their body. They think that's it, there's nothing more I can do. They've given up their classes that they used to enjoy and go to. And I'm like, no, you can get back to moving. You can get back to overcoming that joint pain and that muscle pain. It's about knowing your body and knowing your body again on a different level and then working with it rather than against it. So a lot of my classes are hugely educational. You know, it's not about just come in and, you know, let's do a few exercises and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm actually educating my clients, teaching them about their own human bodies so that they're equipped and they're empowered to take ownership, because that's what's important, is about us taking ownership for our health.
But it can come across like, you know, well, within that industry, it's very, they try to make it very one size fit all. And then I know, like for me personally, so like when they come up with an exercise, you think, okay, I need to do that exercise, and it's struggle with it, then you feel like you take it on board like it's a personal failure issue rather than that's just not designed for you. So it's interesting you saying that, you know, you get people, you educate people, get to know their own body, what works for them, so they can do exercises and conditioning and, you know, feel empowered to be able to do movement that works for them. I love that. I know this is Sugar's area, because Sugar's always what's it? I forgot the term that you're always saying. Oh God,
Underpinning knowledge
no, the other
and
words that you use.
I don't know what you're thinking of.
Physiology and
Anatomy and physiology. But
yeah.
like our guest just said, you know, that's what sort of drew her in, and I can actually really see how you do your anatomy and physiology, because especially for the massage, isn't it, Lillian, that you'd have to do the whole anatomy and physiology just to do your massage exam.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
yeah, and then the curiosity about why this has happened or whatever. I had fractured my ankle once, and the nurse had said to me, "Oh, it's a real ankle's a really bad design." And it actually made me look at the design of the ankle. Why, you know, she said, "It's one of the things that God didn't get right," you know. And I was like, "Really?" And it makes you actually start looking at it. So I totally feel where you're coming from and why it grew on you, because there are so many things that can go wrong. And yeah, I'm most impressed with your with your journey so far.
Thank you.
Right. So then you said now, so all of these this amazing pathways that you've been on, you've done You've got your stories of your early days of starting your classes, getting your experiences, being curious, learning more, being like, whoa, this is definitely my purpose. What happened while you burnt out? How did the burnout come about?
Wow, Beverly, because I loved what I did so much, I just gave myself fully to it. I would be available 12 hours a day for clients, first thing in the morning till last thing at night, because I really loved what I did and I really wanted to help people. So I had no boundaries. You know, I would go teach classes. If anyone needed cover, oh, yeah, sure, I'll cover. Yeah, not worry about my energy levels or anything like that, because that's not what we were taught. And we weren't taught self-care, about how to care for yourself as a teacher, as an exercise instructor, as a fitness teacher. We were not taught that. We were taught rather how to care for others. So, off I went full force into it, teaching classes. I'd be on the go 12 hours, first thing in the morning, teaching, maybe come home, do one or two things, and then I'm out again, covering, teaching. If I'm not teaching, then I'm doing the massage. I remember one time I covered for one lady. Actually, I did this a few times. I was covering for a lady, a fellow massage therapist. And I did a 12-hour shift, no lie, a 12-hour shift
Of just massaging
of
constantly.
massaging.
God, my hands are hurting just hearing that.
And
But
people
the thing
don't
is,
realize how much energy that takes, because they're there relaxing, not realizing that the person that's actually doing the massage is
mm,
using their energy. And
exactly.
also, I don't know if you found, Lillian, that if you had people that, I'm going to call it bad energy,
Mm,
like it's as if their stress is transferred to you.
mm,
Did
yeah,
you find that?
not so much until I learnt about that later after my second burnout. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would have some guys like rugby players, um, athletes, and they'd come in big and bulky. I remember I had this guy, he was like one of my favorite clients. He would come whenever he came down into London. He was originally from Australia. He was like 6'8" or something, Tell him to lie on the couch and his feet and legs were dangling. And the first time he saw me, he looked down at me and he said, "You're going to massage me?" I said, "Yes, I can massage you." Because we were taught how, in terms of technique, how to do, because a lot of my massage was deep tissue, not this fluffy stuff. I went deep. So
Oh God.
whenever I massaged him, he was like, "Is that you? Is that you?" Because of course he's face down, so he can't see what I was doing. And I said, "Yes, it's me." And he'd get up and be looking and say, "You haven't got anyone else." He said, "You're strong." And so, like what you were saying, Yasmin, yes, I would use my all. I'd put my all into it, and that's the type of person I am. If there's something worth doing, it's do it. You have to do it well. So using all my energy, being available mentally, emotionally for clients, because you're not just treating their physical body, you're treating whatever issues they're coming with. So some will lie on the couch and they're telling you about their day, their relationships, and you're a coach. So even then, through just newly qualified as a remedial massage therapist, I said, you know what? My clients keep coming to me with problems. And then I was listening on the radio, and this guy was saying he was a coach, and this is what he did, and he helped people this way. And I was like, I need to do that. I need to do that to help my clients. So I became a qualified coach, personal development coach as well. So as they were lying there and I was massaging them, or even when I was training them, they'll be telling me about their problems and their issues. And I'll be like, you know what, let's book in some coaching sessions and then I can help you with that as well. So it was like I was just available for my clients. And then I remember having a call with a colleague of mine, and I said, I just feel like I'm on this treadmill. I'm just on this treadmill, keep going, keep going. And I'm scared to jump off in case everything just comes crashing down. And she was like, oh, I know what you mean. Because when you're self-employed, eventually you're thinking about, okay, I've got to bring the money in to pay the mortgage, to pay the bills, to pay this, to pay that. And you're like, if I stop, the money stops. And so I couldn't see the wood for the trees. I couldn't see, okay, if I stop, then what's going to happen with the bills and what's going to happen with this and that. And it was like, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into? And burnout was one of those words that was floating around when we first started, when we trained. And I remember our teacher at the time, she was saying, now be careful you don't burn out, don't take on too many classes. And we used to think, burnout, that's never, ever going to happen to us. I mean, granted, Beverly, I started in my 20s when I qualified, So when you're in your 20s, you feel invincible,
That's right.
You're the epitome of health and everything. So in our mind, it was like, burnout, no, that's not going to happen to us. What's she talking about? Until eventually it was in my late 30s. That's when it started to catch up with me. I found my energy was getting drained very quickly. I was becoming a bit cynical about the industry. I was becoming resentful of, my clients wanting more of my time, asking questions. It was like I was just like, everybody just leave me alone. After my shifts, I just wanted to come home, not even pick up my phone, nothing at all. And I wasn't resting properly. Granted, if you're working 12+ hour days, you're not going to rest properly. I wasn't eating properly. I thought I was eating healthily. I wasn't. And eventually I just burnt out. I woke up one morning, I looked up at the ceiling and my body just ached. It felt like I had been pressed. It was a feeling of being pressed and having flu at the same time. And just to get out of bed, it was a huge effort. And then I just thought, what is wrong with me? And to go to the bathroom, it took me forever. And I just thought, I knew in my mind, I just thought, I don't feel well. But I was one of those people that if I didn't feel well, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm going to cover it up, disguise it, and just get on. Because that was my upbringing, You haven't got time to stop and be sick. Just get on and go. And so eventually I got myself together. And I think that day I had to teach. And then anyway, eventually my numbers started to dwindle. My class numbers started to dwindle. So the group coordinator called me and she says, Lillian, I've been looking at your numbers. She says, what's going on? What's happening? Your numbers are dwindling. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm feeling really tired, And she says, She says, are you sure you're not burnt out? I said, burnt out? I said, no. I said, it's probably flu or something like that, I said, it's probably a cold that's just lingering and, I'm just remedying it. I'll get over it. I'll be okay. But within me, it was like, I'm just too tired. I didn't even train. I stopped my training as well. And then eventually I came across an online training course. It was to do with weight loss. And I thought, oh, you know what? Some of my clients are overweight. So let me learn about this. And I'm sure I could pick up one or two things and, be able to help them. So I was there and the guy was talking about, one of the modules was around stress. And he was talking about how stress is linked to weight gain. And so he was going through all the symptoms of stress. And as he was going through them, I was like, this sounds familiar. The symptoms, he was saying, you've got joint pain, you've got muscle pain, you become irritable, angry, sleepless nights, insomnia, all sorts of things he was saying, no energy. And then at the bottom was the word burnout. And I was like, oh my goodness, no way. And after that, I blanked out anything else that he said on that course, because I was just thinking, these symptoms, this is what I'm feeling. So afterwards, I spoke to him and I said, because he was an ex-personal trainer who was now teaching these modules around nutrition. So I spoke with him and I said to him, this is what I'm going through. And he had gone through the same thing. And he said, yep, Lillian, it sounds like you have burnt out. And I was like, oh my goodness, how could this happen to me? And I was beating myself up and I was I was really ashamed because here I was teaching people about how to be healthy and fit and well, but I had neglected my own health and well-being. So eventually I went on and did one of his protocols. So he suggested a few things for me to do in terms of looking at my nutrition, the way that I worked, getting rest, etc. And within 2 weeks, my energy levels came back up. And I thought, wow, there's something in this. So of course, me with the inquisitive brain, I've got to look into it. I've got to look into it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I said, right, I'm going to do nutrition as well for my clients,
Mhm.
But
Put
I
it all
had
goes
to
hand
make,
in hand, yeah.
yeah, I had to make sure that I was well enough to be able to help them, because I'd gotten to a point, Beverly, where it was a case of, do I continue to do what I'm doing, or do I stop and go and get a job in Tesco's? Now, there's nothing wrong with that if you've been called to get a job, to do a job in Tesco's, But I was at that crossroads because I knew after I healed, I said, I can't go on like this. Something has to change. And so, again, I came across different coaches who were able to help me. I learned about stress management. I learned about food management as well. And all of this helped to educate me. So I carried on. But as I was going and doing the nutrition online with my clients, I started to drop a few of my classes, and I dropped one of my massage clinics. So I was like, okay, but I'm still not feeling like I'm on purpose. So I carried on, but even though I had cut back in terms of my physical workload, I was working less than 12 hours, but mentally I was still clocking up 12 hours. I was
Mhm.
overthinking. There was just so much going on I just could not have a quiet headspace. My
Mhm.
brain would work overtime. I'd go to bed with a busy brain. Wake up with a busy brain. And I'd be like, oh
Mhm.
my goodness, what is going on? Again, it just felt like I was back on this treadmill,
Yeah.
and there was no exit, you know? But eventually, I remember one time I went to the gym as part of my training, and I felt really, and I mean really tired. And I remember getting on the cross trainer, and it was such a struggle. And I just thought, what is going on? I, I feel like I've got no energy, like someone's pulled the plug. And over the course of weeks, I noticed that I started to get heart palpitations. I was feeling breathless. I wasn't sleeping properly. And I was it just felt, it didn't feel right. And then one day I was sitting down, I was eating my dinner, and I just felt hot. I was sweating. My legs felt like jelly, and I was eating, and my heart was just pumping. It was like my heart wanted to come out of my chest, and I just thought, what is going on? And I
Mhm.
just thought, you know what? Either I'm going to call A&E or I'm going to call my doctors. And this was in the evening, and then I just stood up, and I just felt like I was going to faint. And I finished my meal and tidying up, and then I just went into the other room, and I said to my mum, I'm going to go to A&E. She just shut up straight away, and she knew that if I say something like that, then there's something seriously wrong.
Mhm.
So we went to A&E. They tested me because I was getting chest pains as well and a severe headache, and my blood pressure was high. Now, normally, if I had tested my blood pressure at home, it would be like 120, 125 over 80 or even 70. When I got checked into A&E and they took my blood pressure, it was 190 over 90.
Whoa.
Exactly.
Mm.
And the admission nurse was looking at me. She was like, have you been anywhere? Have you traveled? Have you eaten this? Have you taken this? I was like, no, 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 no. I said, it's like over the course of 2 weeks, I've just been steadily feeling unwell. She was like, okay, go and take a seat. Well, we'll see what we can do. They gave me every test under the sun. Everything came back negative, negative, negative. So the doctor, because I had the chest pains, they were like, no, we need to admit you and see what's going on, because we can't see anything. Nothing's coming back, as problematic. So before they admitted me, they took another reading of my blood pressure. It was 201 over 107. Yeah.
Going up.
hmm Despite them giving me hypertensive medication. So I was getting concerned. My mum and my sister were getting concerned, and they were like, yeah, we're going to have to admit you and let's do further investigations. So they did more tests, and they found out that my thyroid was severely hyper. I'd never, ever had a problem with my thyroid at all. My blood pressure was still high, and I was severely anemic. I had no iron in me. They had to pump me with ferritin. Yeah. So anyway, they eventually gave me bags of medication, sent me home, and they said, right, you need to go and rest. And I said, rest? I can't rest. I've got things to do. So the endocrinologist asked me, he said, so what do you do? And I was like, oh my goodness. So I told him, I said, well, I'm a health and fitness coach. And he went, okay. So, Miss Lartey, looks like you'll be taking some of your own medicine and rest. And so I came home and I could not do anything. Even to open my computer and start to do, I would get these symptoms. My heart would start pumping fast. I would start coming out in a sweat. It would be like my body was shaking. And I was like, what is going on? This is not like me. And then the more that I started to do certain things, it was just getting worse. And I was like, and every time I spoke to the doctor, they had no answers for me. It was a case of, well, Miss Lartey, just keep taking the medication. Eventually your blood pressure will come down, and, and we'll see what's going on with your thyroid. And one time I went to have my thyroid, they doing all these checks, and the nurse was saying, well, the doctor was saying to me, your thyroid is not responding to the medication. If it doesn't respond, we'll have to take it out. And I cried. I tell you, I cried, Beverly. And I came home and I prayed and I prayed. And I said, God, no one is taking anything out of my body unless you say so. This thyroid is staying in. And then I just said, right, I need to do something. So again, with my inquisitive brain, let me investigate. Why is my blood pressure going up? Why have I got hypothyroidism? And why was I severely anemic? So in my research, I came across a woman who was doing breathing exercises. It was just an email that came into my email box. And it was like, spend 5 minutes breathing. And I was like, what's that? So I opened the email and, clicked through to the video, and she was talking about how she had burnout. She had severe stress as an actor. And I was like, this is interesting. And then she said, okay, I'll take you through this breathing exercise. So I said, okay, give it a go. I kid you not, Beverly. It was the most calmest, relaxed position I had felt ever. And I thought, wow, I need to know more about this. So I started to follow her. I contacted her and she says, yep, I'm doing a course. You're welcome to join. I did the course, learning about breath work. I followed that thread and joined, there's a company called Breathwork Africa, and started to do their courses and learn about breath work as a therapist. And then also learn more about resting. Because it was like, why am I so adverse to resting? And I realized, I started to learn about the busyness of our culture, particularly here in the UK, how we are taught from young to keep going, keep doing, do more. We're told, do more. The more you do, the more successful you are. And I thought, well, that wasn't the case for me, because I was successful. I had my massage clinics. I had my number of personal training clients and classes. I was in high demand, but I burnt out. So that's not right. So again, I was deep diving into all of these, what we're told out in society. And then the more that I started to investigate about my healing, I started to things started coming up for me. I was doing a lot of journaling, and I realized emotional baggage that I had been carrying since I was young, the racial trauma that I had experienced when I was young, all sorts of things that I realized that I hadn't dealt with,
Yeah.
and I realized that treadmill, being on that treadmill, was stories of when I was young, when people would say, you can't do this because you're black. If you
Mm-hmm.
do that, then you're going to be outcasted. You can't go there because you're black. You'll never achieve this because you're black. You have to do better than your counterparts because you're black, and
Mm-hmm.
because you're a black woman at that. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be the strong black woman in order to succeed. All these stories that was fueling me to do more, 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 to prove myself as worthy, you know? And when I realized all of this baggage that I was carrying, I was like, oh my goodness, no wonder I burnt out twice. And then
Mm-hmm.
I just chose, I have to let this go.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped with my healing process. And then in 2021, I was meditating and praying. And then the words pause and breathe came to me. And I was like, pause and breathe, what's that? And then I just started again following that thread, I was like, pause and breathe. Okay, I'm breathing, pause, rest. This is interesting. And then I spoke to a friend or two about it. And then I just thought, you know what? It's the pandemic. We're still sort of, people don't know whether they're coming or going. People are highly stressed. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to do something online. Just gather a few people and let's say, look, let's just get on. Let's breathe and let's de-stress. And that's where pause and breathe was born.
Okay. Because like I was saying before we started with the breathing. So before I get to what I'm gonna say, you're saying like you started to do the breath work, but
Mm,
I remember you also saying you have a busy mind because I
mm.
where I struggle. How did you how did you find getting into this breath work where you have to kind of shut down, if you like, when you have a busy mind? How did you manage to do that? How was it for you?
So we were taught to focus on the breath,
Okay.
and which I hadn't. I mean, with a busy mind, your focus is all over the place, and I can only describe it as my mind was like a funnel, a huge funnel with lots of things just coming in and spinning, like a cyclone sometimes. And I remember when we were taught to just focus on the breath and be present. And I was like, being present? What is being present? And teachers saying, just being in this time now, in this minute, in this moment. And I was like, wow. All the time, my mind was either in the past or it was in the future, never in the present. So just bringing my mind, and what I saw was like just bringing everything down into this sort of central place and just focusing on the breath, just breathing in and breathing out. And each time my mind would want to open up again and start, getting busy, I'd be like, nope, we're just going to stay center. We're just going to focus on the breath, breathing in and breathing out. Was how then I started to train, not only train my mind, but train my body, because it's about coming home into the body. It's nothing to do with the mind, it's to do with the body.
Yeah, because I struggle and yeah, it's something I'm trying to work on because it's like I can't I can't keep a thought. It's like I'll be here and I'm thinking about 10 million things. And like you said, it's like trying to keep it central and focus on the breath. And what I
Mm.
also found as well, that because I do choir and in choir we do like breathing exercises before we start our rehearsal. And
Uh-huh.
I've learned, I always say to my choir director, I don't know if you breathe. I don't know how to breathe. And I came across a music coach where she was saying, because like when we take deep breaths, we tend to, do this, lift up shoulders. And she said, no, no, no. If your shoulders is lifting up, you're not breathing from diaphragm, you're breathing from chest. Because a lot of people, that's how
Mm.
we breathe. We breathe very
Mm.
shallow.
Yeah.
So it's how do you get to like really be breathing properly, if you like? I don't even know what the question is I'm trying to ask, but it's like yeah, I don't think a lot of people, we're just walking around just gasping for air. We're not actually breathing.
100% Beverly. And that's something I realized in myself when I was doing more research around stress. And, when a majority of people are breathing from here, okay, half their lung space, our whole lung starts from the just underneath the collarbone here, down beneath the ribs. That's the whole space of our lungs, and it expands not just here, it expands through the whole of our torso. So if we're just breathing like 1/3 of our lung space, we're not breathing at all. And when we're breathing up here, we're breathing shallow, or some people are what we call breath holders. They hold their breaths, like I always give this example. You're typing an email to someone, and then you realize you take a deep breath in after you've sent the email, and I was getting my ladies to really I said, focus on how you're breathing. When you're doing the email, when you're cooking, are you breathing or are you holding your breath, or are you breathing shallow? And when people would come to pause and breathe, I would direct them to breathe from the belly space. So enlarge your belly. And the thing that us women have been taught is hold your belly in, make sure it looks flat. You don't want your belly to poke out and look big. And again, that has destroyed us, Beverly. This is where we breathe. We breathe from the belly space. And when we breathe from the belly space, we're actually breathing from the lower part of our lungs, from the actual lower part of the rib cage. So when we do that and we're expanding, this is where we're connecting with, I'm sure you've heard about the nervous system. We got two strands to it. We've got our parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us to rest and digest. And that's the one that helps to regulate our blood pressure, our heartbeat, all the systems in our body. And we've got our sympathetic nervous system. That's the one that helps us to get up and go and get things done. And sadly, a lot of society are living in survival mode. They're living driven by the sympathetic nervous system. So of course they're breathing from here, the chest upwards, shallow, okay? Because they're like, I've got to get things done. I've got to get going. I've got to get through the to-do list. I've got to get my schedule done. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. It's A, B, C. I've got to think this. Yeah, this, that. We're firefighting, whatever. We're not coming home and resting and breathing fully, And when we breathe fully, we're breathing the whole of our lungs. And this is what I teach my ladies to do, is to breathe fully, to nourish themselves, that they feel nourished as they're taking that breath in. And at the start, I remember when I started this, and I couldn't even expand my belly. I couldn't. It was painful. It was so tight because I'd spent years keeping my belly tucked in, because that's what we were taught. Ladies, tuck your belly in, And so my belly was tucked in, and could I breathe? It felt like I had a corset, an iron girdle around me, until I had to slowly just get my body to trust me, and for me to trust my body. So building up my relationship with my body and say, you know what, it's safe. It's safe to let go. Because a lot of us women, we're holding on to things. And particularly in the abdominal area, that's where we hold on to the emotional stuff. This person did me wrong. This happened to me. That trauma, this trauma, I'm carrying it all. Yeah, I had a hard pregnancy, got fibroids, got endometriosis, got PCO, everything. That is where we're storing it, in our abdominal area. And is it no wonder we're struggling to breathe, to take a breath? So it's about letting go, which is why, in the pause and breathe experience yesterday, I was getting us to scan through the body and do a body scan to assess what is actually going on in our bodies. The only time I knew what was going on in my body was when I burnt out. When my body stopped me, my body just said, enough of this. This is what's happened. This is what you're doing to me. Where I had to take ownership and face up to, whoa, I'm not actually taking care of myself. Okay, body, what is it that you need? and our bodies speak to us.
Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes we just don't understand the language, or we're not taking that time out to listen. Or
Exactly.
we
Or we
hear
totally
it, it's like,
ignore it.
okay, I've heard it. Now what do you want me to do about it?
We totally ignore. I've had ladies come and when they first come and work with me, and they say, "Oh, because I ask them different questions, and one of them will be, how many times do you go to the toilet?" And I remember one lady said to me, "I don't go to the toilet." I said, "What do you mean you don't go to the toilet?" She says, "I'm too busy to stop and go to the toilet." I said, "So you don't get any urgency to go and wee?" She goes, "Well, if I do, I just ignore it and carry on." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." I just, and it really, and this is where the education comes in,
Mm-hmm.
because women are not being educated. Young ladies, young girls are not being educated about how to take care of their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And they follow what their mothers do, what their aunties do, what their grandmothers do. And if that's incorrect, the young ladies, the girls are going to follow. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where, we talk about generational curses, we talk about generational illnesses. This is what happens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about educating ourselves about our bodies and taking care of ourselves, because this is the only body we have, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about it is we self, well, less care, trying to get all these things done. But at the end of the day, if you don't have anything to pour,
Mm.
it's not going, and it doesn't get done. It's still going to get done without you. So
100%.
the world doesn't stop because you're ill, right? And the world doesn't really care that you're ill. It's like, okay, let's see who can we get to replace you until you're ready to jump back onto this bandwagon. So
Yeah.
the more you have to think about yourself, because yeah, like I said, you can't pour from an empty cup. So in terms of, you said you do like courses and class. I know I've seen you nodding your head a lot of times, Sugar. So I know there's lots of things that you want to come in with, and I don't want to feel like I'm taking your. This is your bag, your kind of topic. Not that it's my topic too, but
Thank you. But
yeah.
there's nothing that I want to question Lillian about. It's just that her journey has been so similar to what I've experienced, from being young and vibrant, and then looking at our stress and food management and always feeling that we need to be hands-on, which just doesn't help us. Yeah. So everything she said, there's no direct question for you, Lillian, because I totally appreciate the journey, because I've been there, right there with you. Maybe one of the questions I would ask is, do you think menopause had something to do with like the second burnout?
Yeah. Looking back now, I believe, because I was probably in perimenopause at that time. So likely. And the interesting thing is, they didn't pick that up when I was in the hospital. Even when I went for my after appointments, they did not pick that up at all. And I wasn't I it was not even in my awareness about menopause,
No.
because for me, I was in my 40s. So for me, menopause was like, oh no, that won't happen for me until I'm in my 50s. That's
Yeah.
that was my train of thought. And it
Mm-mm.
wasn't until I worked with my health coach, that was after my second burnout. And um, I was doing my protocols and stuff. And then she traced back, because she looked at all my medical records and everything, and she traced back and she said, "You know what?" She says, "Granted, I definitely believe that yes, burnout was part of it, but you were probably also perimenopause, on the cusp of going into menopause as well. And
Mm-hmm.
stress can exacerbate that. When we're highly stressed, that can exacerbate menopause and the perimenopause symptoms. So yeah, definitely.
So where are you now? Because I have to apologize. As you know, I had trouble coming in at the beginning and I've missed a little bit. Um, but like, where are you now? Like, are you still hands-on everything, or are you the overseer, the supervisor now?
Not quite the supervisor yet. I'm working towards that. And I'm not quite the hands-on either. So I do have experts that come into my business and help. So I get experts coming in and doing some of the, because I do a 12-week program called Fit Temple, and that's my in-person classes that I teach. And we do health and healing clinics. So some of those are already pre-recorded. I've got experts that come in and do some of the clinics and lend their expertise, because it's not all about me. I don't know everything. And it's just great, to be able to hand the reins over to someone and say, you come and teach them, and I'm teaching in alignment with my body. When I first worked in the fitness industry, it was constant work, 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 work. You take time off as and when you need to. Now my programs are just 12-week, and then I have 6 weeks off for rest, complete rest. But I'm going to even narrow that down, because I want to start teaching things online as well. So every time when I'm looking at different aspects of my business, my main priority is my well-being. That is the first thing that I put into my schedule. First thing is my well-being, and then it's how can I serve? Because like what you were saying, Beverly, you can't pour from an empty vessel. You can't. Just impossible. So I have to be equipped in order to serve. And the way that I serve is in alignment. It's got to be in alignment with me. It's got to be in alignment with my well-being. It's got to be in alignment with my season, the season that I'm in as well. So I only take on a certain number of one-to-one clients, whereas before it was like, yeah, just take on anybody. But now it's like, no. And I'm very specific with that as well. And with my classes, it's very easy. It's very simple for me as well. And anything else that I do online, I choose and pick as to what is going to work for me and my well-being.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
I just wanted to welcome Denise. I saw Denise pop in, and I see Anita's got her finger like she wants to say something. Go for it, Anita.
Lillian,
Hi, Anita.
I had an overactive thyroid. So when you were talking about that, I was very interested in that. My thyroid's been removed. One of the key things, being underactive, I was very slim. And I was quite happy with that. Now that the thyroid's been removed, I have a lot of weight. I do 2 hours exercising. I'm wheelchair bound, so my exercising is sitting down. I do 2 hours. I lift 6-kilogram weights and add it, depending on the exercise, with 2 4-kilogram weights. 2 hours, Monday to Friday. I'm not losing weight. So what am I doing so wrong?
Are you
Because
doing?
you're talking about well-being, and I want to know what it is.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to the thyroid, and then I'm going to come back. One thing that, because I had different endocrinologists that I saw over the span of a year. Remember, I said to you when I saw the first one, and she said to me, if your thyroid doesn't respond to the medication, we're going to take it out.
I was on carbamazole.
Yeah, probably was the same medication. And then it was not long after that I started to do things around stress management and doing the breathing and then doing a protocol. I came across a book called The Thyroid they call him the medicine something. Anthony Williams is his name. Okay, look up his name, Anthony Williams. He's created a thick book on the thyroid, and it's got a total protocol in there about how to take care of it. So what I did was I remember calling up a herbalist and asked, because I'm all about natural stuff. That's me. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to do a natural protocol against what the medical industry was saying, but this is me, okay? And I started to take some herbal remedies. What they were, can't remember, because this was 2018, 2019, around that time. So I did a course of herbal remedy, and I'm sure that helped. But I know, for me, a large part of it was stress related. So I had to get to that place where I had to calm my body down, because I know that they were all interconnected: the hypertension, the hypothyroidism, and the iron. Now, when I worked with my health coach, she said that probably because due to the lack of the iron in my body, that's what triggered off the hypothyroidism. Okay. And that can also trigger off the hypertension. So doing the protocol that I did, within a year, I came off the medication for the thyroid, because my thyroid went back to normal, to the amazement of my endocrinologist, because he kept tracking it. And he was saying, wow, he said, your thyroid is literally just coming back to normal. I said, okay, so what does that mean? He said, well, you can come off the medication. I said, okay. He said, I've never seen this before within the space of a year. He says, what is it that you're doing? He said, you know what? Don't tell me. He says, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. So for me, it's all about getting the body into that equilibrium, into that place where it feels rested and it doesn't feel threatened. Because internally, if the body feels threatened and stressed, you're going to be in that sympathetic nervous system response. So when you're telling me you're working out 2 hours, I'm like,
I shouldn't do 2.
Why 2 hours? Yeah. Why
I used to do 3.
Wow. It's a lot.
You know what it is? I listen to James O'Brien on LBC, and the program is 10 till 1. And so I'm not aware that it's 3 hours, but it's because I'm listening to him and listening to the politics. But I cut it back. It's only this year that I cut it back. I've been doing it for, I don't know, probably about 20 years. And I cut it back this year to 2 hours.
So like it's stressing out your poor body right there. So it's just like you put yourself in that catch-22 situation, stressing it out, then there's all these outcomes of stress. Because I've seen somewhere where, well, and this is my understanding of it, and I could be completely delusional in how I'm understanding it, but I'm just thinking like all these different illnesses and ailments is just stress surfacing in a different place. So if it surface, say, in your joints, is arthritis. If it surface in your, I don't know, your brain, it's whatever the brain is.
Stress, migraine, whatever.
It's migraine. So I just feel like, because even with headache, that's stress. So I just feel like all these ailments is just different names for stress.
Exactly.
So if you de-stress or lower stress as much as possible, it reduces some of these.
Yeah, it's ways of your body speaking to you. Like Lillian said earlier, your body actually gives you a warning, and very often what we do, we just push past it. We don't actually think, why is that happening? But Anita, sorry?
No, we just deal with the symptom of it. We might get a migraine. We take 2 migraine tablets and it's gone. And we say, okay, that's it. What was causing that migraine in the first place? We haven't tackled.
Yeah. So it's getting to the root of why you're not losing the weight. So that's my first point.
That's not a one sentence answer.
No.
But I am concerned about doing 2 consecutive hours of exercise. I mean, if you want to do 2 hours, why not break it up over the day rather than in one session?
Yeah.
I know
can
you
do
said
that.
Mhm.
I mean, if you told me that you were you were aiming to be a fitness model in a fitness competition, I can understand you doing 2 hours.
I do enjoy the 2 hours. I
Yeah,
do enjoy it. My problem is now that the thyroid has been removed, it's the weight issue. I've noticed the difference
Mm,
because when I was overactive, I didn't have as much weight on me.
mm. Because the thyroid is the master gland.
Mm,
It's the master gland. It's the one that controls everything within the body. So going back to the nervous system, this is where you need to start training your nervous system to
mm,
be in that parasympathetic. You want a nice flow with your nervous system. It's not that we're either or, it's a
mm,
flow. So sometimes we're in sympathetic because we need to get up and go and do things.
mm,
But
mm,
when it's time to rest and ease down,
mm,
we're in para. By the time you come to bed, you want to be in parasympathetic. You want to sleep well, you want to be rested,
mm,
you know. And then slowly as you get up and you go through your day, again, you're on that nice wave with your
mm,
nervous system.
mm,
So it's using things, protocols like breath work, like gentle stretching, like gentle movement. Exercise
mm,
doesn't have to be harsh, go, I've got to get the sweat, got to lift heavy. It doesn't have to be that all the time. Exercise
mm,
can be just stretching, easing
mm.
out the body, which a majority of us don't do. We don't stretch.
no,
We
no.
think it's the aerobics or it's the lifting the heavy, and
Or
that's
the
it.
tai chi. That's what I was doing
Tai
sometimes
Chi
in
is
between.
good, gentle movements. That is a great stress reliever,
Mm,
you know. So think differently in terms of your exercise. Try
mm,
not to do the 2 hours together, like what Yasmin's saying, break it up. Even just start to wean yourself off 2 hours and just bring it back home to
mm,
maybe 1 hour, and even that you might want to break up because it might be the fact that you haven't got thyroid means that your body has to compensate. So it's compensating. There are different areas of different glands, and there are
mm,
different areas of your body that's compensating. Because the thyroid, what does it do? It releases thyroxine. Okay.
mm,
It does a huge amount of body management. So if that's gone, okay, you're taking medication, that's great. However, the body still is compensating. So it's,
I'm not on medication now.
oh, you're not on medication.
They stopped it. I had to stop it before they removed it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm,
So the body is compensating somewhere. Okay. So it's about not stressing the body out more than what it needs to be doing, but
mm,
working with your body.
mhm,
Does that make sense?
mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully that should answer that for you. So let me come to where are you now? And so you said you're doing courses now, yes?
Yeah.
So these face-to-face courses, where are you based with these face-to-face courses?
So my Fit Temple program takes place in Mitcham.
Okay.
That's where we run our classes once a week. It's called Body Balance, our classes. And I have a group of lovely ladies who keep me on my toes. We do things like balance work, mobility work. And we have a saying in our class, if you don't use it, you lose it, which
Mm-hmm.
led me to do my use it or lose it challenge, 5-day challenge, which I started in May. I did a 5-day online challenge. And that was just phenomenal. And it's about, again, is educating women and letting them know that, listen, just because you're over 50, just because you're postmenopause, doesn't mean that you can't stay fit, doesn't mean that you can't age well and you can't age healthy. So we have a saying that we want to age young, age strong, age with power.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about moving with your body again, listening to your body and moving with it, discovering things that you probably think, oh, I can never do that, but discovering, oh yeah, actually I can do that, and being
Mm-hmm.
independent. So we're working towards it being independent in our latter years. So that's what the Fit Temple is about. And then, as I mentioned, the Use It or Lose It challenge, the next one's going to take place in September, the next 5 days, and that's going to be online. And we spend half an hour and we go through different things like posture, balance, strength, mindset. What is your vision? Because again, for a majority of women, it's doom and gloom, you know. Oh, I don't know, I can't see, you know, am I going to live to 80? Am I going to live to 70? Oh, this aches me, that aches me. And I'm like, stop. What is your vision? What is it that you desire? You know, and it's like a reawakening for women. So it gives them a new lease of life. So that's what I'm doing. I'm also doing some coaching, well-being coaching as well, and some other beautiful things too.
Well-being coaching, is that face-to-face or is that online?
That's online well-being coaching. Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking the outreach of how how do you get to to the masses, because everyone's going to be able to come
one
to
of those days where I'm running left, right, and centre. No way.
within your boundaries.
Exactly. Yeah.
So future plans. What's the future plans for Lillian Lartey now? What are you hoping to develop? What other stream are you hoping to add or
no. And unless God tells me that at the moment this is enough, my cup is full. My cup is full because I also do training and collaborations with community groups and organizations. So I help their groups I sometimes do pause and breathe workshops, or I do training around stress and burnout as well. So yeah, that all keeps me busy, Beverly.
Okay. So if someone wanted to find Lillian Lartey to come and do some community work or in community, how would they find you?
So they can find me at my website, lillianlartey.com. Very simple, lillianlartey.com. Or they can go to my Linktree site, which is Linktree Lillian_Lartey. On the Linktree, they'll see what my most recent events are, and other things like recordings of podcasts they can listen to. But on my website gives you a snapshot of who I am and what I do.
Fantastic. I find. Did you have something you wanted to say, Sugar?
I said thank you, but more than anything, the younger self question.
I was just going to do that, but I thought you had something you were going to say. Okay. And you have no questions, Anita? And Denise is coming in. She's just been, I take it she's just listening because she's been very quiet. Hasn't asked any questions. All right, cool. So let me get back to the question then. Your younger self, Lillian, if you had to go back and say, young girl, this is what you should do, what would that be?
Oh my goodness. Young girl, don't take on anyone's emotional baggage. You know, all the trauma that you were expected to carry is not yours to carry. Do what you instinctively know to do, what you've been called to do, not what's expected of you, not what others are telling you to do. Go with and do what you have been called to do. Fulfill your purpose on this earth, and you will be fulfilled and happy.
Oh, that is fantastic. You almost made me want to cry. And Anita said, so true.
Amen.
Amen to that one, for real. Because, we grow up with those expectations of, even you saying in career work, because, everyone's expecting you to work in either a bank or an office or da. But your sole purpose was telling you something else. And it's like you delayed from it because of what you think you're supposed to do. And look at where following your heart and your passion has taken you down, helping a lot of people. And so a lot of people are grateful for your services. And a lot of that service sound like things that I'm kind of interested in because, as I'm getting up in age, and a lot of people getting up in age, and you want to be in a different headspace, physical space, for the next decade.
Good job. Yeah, perfect for the 21st century.
That's it. So Lillian, again, thank you for sparing your time to be with us this evening. It's been absolutely amazing. I feel very educated, and like I said, I did
Yes.
her pause and breathe. I didn't even know what to call it because I said webinar. It almost sounds like you're thinking, no, love, it's not webinar because I don't even know what to call these things. But it's
We
like,
call it a pause and breathe session.
thank you, help me, because sometimes my wording, yeah. So it was like, but it was just that I almost forgot that I'm online with other people. I was just like so zoned out, and I'm like, and then when you were saying, okay, coming back, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I was like, but you're just so tuned in, and I was thinking that was just only one session of my busy mind trying to calm down. So if it was a practice, wow. But yeah, so this, and you said you do those pause and breathe, because you hadn't mentioned that the pause and breathe
Yes.
sessions every first Tuesday of the month
Yes.
at 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Yeah,
online. So that's going to be the
online.
next one is in September. So the 1st of September, Tuesday, 1st September. And then, as you say, the first Tuesday of every month.
Fantastic. So if you want to take just a few
Excellent.
minutes of your time to just, oh, Lord Jesus.
Just remind us on our Facebook page so our other people can join you.
I will absolutely do that. And also, I see, I don't know if you're part of the Supporter Sis-Star Network Facebook group.
Yeah.
So what we do is any events that you have coming up, anything, just chuck it in there. You
Excellent.
know,
I will.
and it's there, and anything
Please
that you
do.
know, just put it in there. Yeah.
Okay,
So that
cool. Thank you.
So yeah. Because it's like a lot of things. There's a lot of things out there that we're not aware of, and we're trying to create a space where it's, anything you need to know, it's right there. Yeah. So
Sure.
anything.
Yes.
All right. And we also have our YouTube page, which I said is where we'll upload your video, and you'll have that link where you can have that to share with your people who want maybe to get to know a bit more about who you are and how you came to where you are, to the services that you're giving them now. They can say, oh, that's what she went through. Okay. So yeah, so the YouTube channel is there for that. We have an Instagram page, but
Let's not mention the Instagram or the TikTok.
Yeah, all of that.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, so is that a wrap now, Miss Sugar?
That's a wrap.
All right.
Thank you very much, Lillian.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Lillian.
Thanks, Anita.
Thank you.
Very informative. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure, and you've been great for us. Thank you.
And take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.